My name is Anthea Comellini and I come from Italy. So I've always been fascinated since I was a child from flight and eventually space flight. And this has been something that was quite irrational. I cannot explain why it was flight and not something else. But then my life choices bring me close to space because I enrolled when I was 19 the University for Aerospace Engineering, and by knowing this domain I really was able to understand that this was the right place for me, and day by day the desire to contribute to it grew inside me, and this is why I eventually ended up applying for this position. So I grew up in Chiari, a small town in northern Italy, and I enrolled the Politecnico di Milano for Aerospace Engineer program when I was 19. Then, since I was fascinated by space, I continued with the Master in Space Engineering, and I also had the possibility to do an exchange, a double degree program in France, in Toulouse at ESA Astronaut. And thanks to this, I had the possibility to do an internship in Thales Alenia Space in Cannes, where I was offered to continue doing a PhD on the subject of autonomous rendezvous for spacecraft, which is quite a trend topic at the moment. And 2 years ago, I wanted to give myself another challenge, so I decided to apply for a position as a flight dynamics engineer. So I ended up in Darmstadt at ESOC, the European Space Operations Center, where I worked on interplanetary missions. It was very fun. And I just recently came back in Cannes at Thales Alenia Space to work as a guidance, navigation, and control engineer. I've always been very active in sport since I was a child, and my favorite sport and that I have practiced with quite a fair level has been orienteering, which is quite a not common sport, but very nice, and everybody should try it. It was more a relief because this was a very long process, and we didn't receive the notification just the day after applying, but it was a process in which we were first passing the screening, then passing the psychometric testing, then passing the psychological testing, then the medical, then the panel. So you get closer and closer to your dream, and when you finally receive the last call that you are invited to Paris, it's more a sense of relief, like, okay, this is happening. I see myself trying to give the maximum contribution that I can give to space in Europe. This is really the motive that also pushed me to apply to this position, but even before, to be a space engineer. And as for where I will be the most exciting to see myself, this is the future that is going to tell whether it is going to be the ISS or other commercial station or eventually the moon. I don't know, but for me what is important is to know that I am really contributing to this big community that is space in Europe. My message, which is very subjective, it's closer to my experience, is that you don't necessarily have to dream about becoming an astronaut. What you have to do is really to take step by step and work hard and try to focus on long-term goals, even if they are not well-defined, but just trying to give the future yourself the best possibility. And this can be done by working today. So just dream big and try to find your place in the world.